What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast, where we are constantly trying to keep our thumbs ripped up. Tonight, we have a really incredible episode lined up for you guys. Tonight, we are going to be covering Mr. Joseph Tax, who recently won the season opener up at Oroville for the Yak A Bass season opener. There was about 120 kayaks out there, and Joseph took home first place. And I'm really excited to hear from him and how he dialed in that place and beat a massive field up north at Oroville. And also, we have Mr. David Borofka on tonight, who won the California Bass Nation Kayak Series at new Bullards Bar, along with the Wild West Kayak Series. And I can't wait to hear from David. I know David's brother pretty well. Jason's a good friend of mine, and I know that David is a well-respected angler in the community as well. So I cannot wait to see how he dialed this place in and beat a really tough field up at new Bullards Bar here in a little bit. But first, I just want to say welcome to tonight's show. Tonight's show is brought to you by YAK ATTACK, and YAK ATTACK has decided to support the podcast for this whole entire year. And tonight, I'm going to be giving away 2 Omega Pro rod holders, and I am stoked to give those away to 2 lucky live listeners. So you must be in the chat to win the rod tubes, and you will have the color. You will be able to choose what color you would like. There's 3 different colors. And I'm just really excited to be partnering and have the support from YAK ATTACK. And they have some incredible new products that they're coming out with. They are innovating like crazy over at the warehouse, and there's a ton of new stuff coming out. So be on the lookout for all the new stuff coming from YAK ATTACK. I've been running their stuff for years, and along with their Black Pack Pro that's came out recently, and they got some really cool stuff coming. So really stoked to have their support. So again, 2 winners tonight will be taking home a Omega Pro rod holder, which is a really cool item to hold your fishing pole. And so tonight I also am joined by Mr. Anthony Garcia, G Team Outdoors. He's going to be co-hosting with me tonight. So let's go ahead and bring in Ants. What's going on, bro?
What's up, everybody?
Welcome, Mr. Anthony. So last episode, we talked a little bit about it, but you made the trek out to Florida, and I know that it wasn't the greatest showing, or, you didn't have the, it was a tough event for you, but hey, you took it on the chin and you drove all the way from California. So mad respect for that ambition and that confidence that you have. You want to share just a little bit about your trip really quick?
I mean, it was a good experience. Got to see a lot of alligators. Got to see a lot of bass. Just couldn't catch them. It was weird. It was super weird. The fisheries down there are nothing like California. I thought it would be somewhat similar, but it's not. At least for what I
fished
found.
the Hobie BOS event, right?
Yeah, the Hobie BOS, the Harris Chain event. I mean, it looked amazing. Everything looked like it should have fish, and not everything had fish, and that was the determining factor on whether you're gonna do good or not, finding those spots that actually had fish.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like the Delta, right? Like everything looks extremely good, and you got to still dial them in and figure out where they're at. But dude, like I said, I give you mad props for just driving out there and having that confidence to go that distance and compete against the best in our community. So mad respect, bro. No matter what you finish, still a win in my book, bro. That's pretty sick.
Thanks, dude.
So tonight we got a cool show lined up. We got a couple guys that we're going to bring in here in a second. But first, I kind of want to touch on a couple things and cover a couple things that are going on out here in the Western region, because this show is all about supporting, the entire Western region. And I want to continue to give a platform to anglers who do well in these events and give them a shout out no matter where they're fishing or what club they're a part of. This is all, promoting the sport out here, no favorites. And so first things first is there is the ABA Kayak Series down here in Southern California. I'm kind of heading it up this year, and the ABA has stepped up huge, and their first event is at San Vicente coming up on March 18th. We got good payouts, decent size entry, reasonable memberships, and bona fide kayaks and X2 batteries have stepped up really big for us. We're all going to be fishing for a SS 127 at the end of the season for our championship, and YAK ATTACK is going to deck that thing out as well for our champion. and our angler of the year is going to be receiving an XI3 kayak motor. So all these details just dropped here really recently, and registration is opened up for the event on Tourney X. We're going to be using Tourney X this season. We have 32 anglers so far. We're only taking 50. So if you guys want to hop in there, make sure you guys get in and grab a spot before it sells out. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be my first derby of the year. Can't wait to get on the water with everyone. And San Vicente is a special place. I feel like it's going to be a spawning situation, but it might be a pre-spawn just because we're literally just got snow out here in Southern California. So it's definitely a little bit different of a winter than we've seen in recent history, recent years. So I think it's going to maybe be pre-spawnish, maybe some early spawners, but I think it's going to be a good bite and it's going to be a fun time. So if you guys want to come out to San V, hit me up and I'll get you guys pointed in the right direction. So let's cover that. And then moving on from that, I want to hit the Arizona Bass Kayak winner at Saharo, right? Did I say that right, Ant? Saharo?
I don't know.
This time?
I pronounce it saguaro because it's like the
Yeah.
saguaro cactus, but Bryce says otherwise.
Huge shout out to these dudes right here. In specific, Mr. Bennett Shulkin took home the first Arizona Bass Nation Kayak Series win out at Saharo. I'm pretty sure it's Saharo. Congratulations, Bennett, and to all 4 of these individuals. I think one of them is Big Fish. I see Mario and Lance there as well. And congratulations to those guys. And I love what Arizona is doing, presenting that opportunity to those guys in AZ. So that's really cool, man. So I know that they got another event coming out. If you guys want more info, check them out on Facebook, Arizona Bass Kayak Series on Facebook. Also, this past weekend, sorry if I got that wrong, but pretty sure it was this past weekend, Mr. Max Lee took down the win at McClure for the Slay Nation tournament. There was 40 anglers out there, and something really cool too. John Myers kind of took it upon himself this year to write for Western Bass, and he's going to do his very best to cover everything he can. So John wrote up an article, a great article. If you guys want to check it out, go to Western Bass. It's really cool to see, the sport being on all these different platforms where we normally see bass boat stuff. So huge shout out to Max. Congratulations on winning out at Lake McClure against a tough field. Damien was there, and Damien took second. Won more money. Here we go. Friggin' on the road to 35K again. So let's see. After that, I hit John Myers, and then the KAA winner at Saharo. So there was 2 events at Saharo. We had Raymond Rana, who won the KAA event in Arizona. This was ran at the same time as the Bass Nation. So congrats to Raymond. A big field out there, 77.5 inches. Congratulations on your big win, man. And then kind of moving down the list from there, we got coming up after, we're going to cover Yak A Bass right now. Joseph won it. And then we're going to cover the Bass Nation event that David just won. And then the next Yak A Bass event is at Folsom on March 18th. So if you guys want to sign up for that, make sure you guys check out Folsom on March 18th for Yak A Bass. And then California Bass Nation's next event is this coming weekend, March 5th at Pardee. And registration is open until March 3rd. So if you guys want to get in, make sure you guys get in by March 3rd. Let's see. SoCal Kayak Anglers membership drive is coming up March 11th. The season is kicking off, you guys. Like, that's why I'm trying my best to cover everything. There is a ton of stuff going on out here. SoCal Kayak Anglers membership drive, March 11th at Otay. I am signed up for that event. I'm praying that I can go, but I'm not sure. I got my son's T-ball starting, so we'll kind of see where my schedule lines up. He will obviously have priority over that. Got to be at my son's T-ball event. He hits bombs, by the way. So next, the Central Valley Kayak Fishing Club, they had an event they were going to have an event at Pine Flat, but it got canceled for safety reasons. So mad respect to the tournament director putting safety first for the anglers. And their next event is going to be April 1st at Eastman. So I wrote down everything I possibly could. If I missed something in Washington, if I missed something in Utah, I apologize. But everything's on Facebook as far as all their events go as well. So let's go ahead and see the chat. If you guys are in the chat tonight, please light the chat up. We encourage questions. We encourage, a lot of interaction. So we're really stoked that you guys are joining us live tonight. And we do have Mr. Jason Borofka in the chat, so I'm sure he's going to ask some good questions to David. But Jason's in the chat. So what's up, bro? We got Max Lee in here too. We got AJ Ramirez, who's going to be heading out to the Bass Nation Championship here pretty soon. Okay, the last thing I wanted to cover really quick, and then we're going to get Joseph in here. Let me see here. So I shared this on my IG story, but Dakota Lithium, huge shout out to Dakota Lithium. They signed a multi-year deal with Bassmaster Kayak Angler of the Year, and they're going to be giving $5,000 cash. So Stormy is definitely making some power moves this year. Dakota Lithium also sponsors the Elite Series, and now they're sponsoring the Kayak Series. So huge shout out to Stormy and Dakota Lithium for just supporting the kayak community, throughout the whole country. So that's really, really awesome. Speaking of the Bass Nation Bassmasters Kayak Series at Lake Guntersville, I wanted to bring this up because I think this is huge. Ants, there are 235 anglers signed up for Guntersville. That is
crazy.
That is a great number. That is, I'm pretty sure they're maxed out. I gotta clarify that maybe, but I think they're capped at 235 boats, and there is 235 on Tourney X right now.
That's insane.
Shout out to Jacob Penny. He hit me up a little bit ago. He's gonna be there. There's a ton of people that are gonna be there. But man, Guntersville is a special place, especially to me and Ants. We went out there a couple years ago and we had a great time out there. And it is definitely an awesome place to fish. And I cannot wait to follow along with that. Look at first place, bro. For a normal regular season series, 13 G's.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're paying out decent, dude. That's a big payout, big field to pay out. And man, it looks good. Steve Owens took over this season as a tournament director. So huge shout out to you, Steve. I think it's just going to honestly go to the moon. So I'm hoping it does. I feel like if Bassmasters succeeds in their kayak series, everything else is going to follow suit because it's Bassmaster, dude. Like it's like MLF. It's like the top of the top. So if the kayak series at the Bassmaster level is successful, I feel like everything else is going to follow suit. So
yeah,
really, really sick to see that happening. And that's this weekend. And I cannot wait to watch that and just see how that unfolds. So that's a huge, huge news. And last thing, and then we'll get into it. Got to give Yak Attack another quick plug really quick. So I'm going all olive green for every single accessory on my kayak this season. So I got the 2 olive green black packs that are going to be coming, or they're going to be going on the boat. I'm going to just go all olive green. They have some really cool colors other than black. And I know a lot of people run black, but they got the olive green, and they also have like the desert sand color. So if you guys are interested in those different colors, I encourage you guys to grab them and be a little bit different. I'm going all olive green this year, and I'm stoked on that too. So again, last shout out to Yak Attack, and that's the Omega Pro rod holder right there. So we're going to be giving one of those away. It's on the bottom left. We're going to be giving 2 of those away tonight to a live listener. So let's see who is in the chat really quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Someone said, are you fishing the opens this year? I am not going to be fishing the Bassmaster Opens as far as like the kayak things go. I can't travel much this season. So
I don't think he's talking to you, bro.
Oh, is he talking to Jason?
Yeah, he's asking Jason.
Oh, okay. Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. He's asking Jason. I thought he was, because we were talking about the Bassmaster Kayak Series, and that's the same thing. It's an opens kind of thing. So that's what I thought. So Diego's doing the money thing. My wife Kristen's in the chat. Now I can't cuss. Or what are you throwing at Otai? A Cinco and a Cinco at Otai. Okay, let's go ahead and bring David in here. Let me just check one more thing really quick. Okay, let's go ahead and bring David Borofka in here. What's going on, David?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
It's going good, man. But I mean, it's got to feel good to get that win up there at New Bullards Bar. And congratulations on that, and welcome to the Bass Thumbs Fishing Show. And we're stoked to have you here. So, David, why don't you just tell us like a little bit about yourself? Kind of intro who you are, what you're about, and then we'll kind of get into the tournament.
Yeah. I'm out here in California. Been out here my whole life. Started kayak fishing, I don't know, maybe like 8 years ago or so. It was really early in the sport. Before, like, when I started kayak fishing, pedal drives, like there was maybe 3 or 4 guys out there with pedals. Everyone was paddling still. So I've been around a long time. So being my first win, this does feel really good because I've been trying for a long time.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. So how many years has it been? Do you know like how many like specific years you've been in this sport?
It's got to be like 8 years or something like that. I think it was around 2015 when I first got a kayak. I think somewhere around there,
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Dang. So you've seen kind of the beginning starts of Yak A Bass then? Like were you kind of in
Yeah,
the
it
start
was
of that?
very, very. It was, I think it was the second year of Yak A Bass I started. There'd be like maybe 30 guys showing up. It was cash. We paid there in the morning. We would come back and there was no apps. Tourney X wasn't around. We'd come back and we'd have to write down on a card what we got on our inches and had to verify with the tournament director. And yeah, it was, things were different back then, but the sport's grown a whole lot since then. It's good to see.
Okay, so you've been in this for 8 years.
I
And
think something like that, yeah.
so 6 years later, Jason finally gets into a kayak, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
of course it took Jason that big Bassmaster tournament to get his foot in there. And then his first tournament, he takes top 5 and blah, blah, blah. But that's funny,
Yep.
dude. I know Jason's watching it now, so I wanted to give him a little bit of a hard time. I keep telling him to
Yeah.
get back into the kayak, man. Stay in the kayak.
Yeah. Yeah. When he got into it, I knew there had to be the right tournament to get him into it. When the Clear Lake Bassmaster was coming up, I was like, this is it. You can't say no to that. Because,
Yeah.
all those boat guys were interested in what we were doing. The year or two before that, I did the Pro-Ams with Wild West.
Yeah.
And every pro I drew all day, that's all they would ask. Just asking questions. How do you guys do this? How do you guys submit your fish? How do you guys bring your fish in? Do you guys have live wells on your kayaks?
Yeah.
All day we just talk about kayak fishing. So, and that was the year when I did the Pro-Ams. It was the year KBF did the $100,000 NC.
Yeah.
So that really got a lot of guys talking, like $100,000 out of a kayak,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's cool, man. That's awesome. That's really cool that you've been around for that long. And so this being your first win, man, that's got to feel special, dude. And you've been on the grind. So what do you feel like was like, what do you think was like different this time? Like what did you see, like, come through? Like, what was your expectation going into it?
I just honestly this year, over this last year, I've been spending more time on the water, and I think that is what it takes. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want and do all the research, but if you're not on the water, you got cobwebs every time you hit these tournaments. So this year, with how my work schedule is, I used to be nights. I'm on days now, so I have more time to fish, and that's made a difference the last year or so.
So let's throw up really quick. Let me see if this is the right. Yeah, this is the right one. So David took first place. It was definitely a grinder of a tournament. I mean, first you took first with 77.75, and then Abel was right behind you with 65, and then Shane 65. Damien, of course, friggin' Damien, top 5, 63.5, and Troy right there at 62. But check out this fish that David put on the board amongst all the dinks. Boom.
Yeah. Felt good. First fish of the morning too, so it was a good way it woke me up.
Let's talk. Oh, first fish of the morning. That's the best, bro. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about this fish, bro. How'd you get this big fat one?
Yeah, so me and Abel, we kind of pre-fished together a little bit, and when we were hitting the water, like I told him I just want to cover water today. I've never been to this lake before, so we were just really covering water. And the one spot that I caught fish all day happened to be about a little over an hour away from the ramp. So tournament day, I knew that's where I was going. Spend all morning heading out to that spot, just motoring out there, and finally get out there. I'm fishing for about an hour, and I'm fishing a little YAKATTACK jig, and in about 30 feet or so. And I'm just hoping to catch my first dink of the day because that's all anyone's been catching the whole tournament. The whole practice, everyone, 12 inches, 11 inches. So when I set the hook, I knew it was a lot bigger than 12 inches. But I didn't know it was going to be 20 inches. And
Yeah, that's a big one, bro.
I got it in, and I knew when I got that fish, I really did have a feeling that if I filled my limit, even if it was with 12-inch fish, that I would probably win this tournament.
Yeah.
Because even practice, there was one big fish in practice caught the day before. James Croco caught a 22, and I don't know how many of these are going to be caught out in this tournament. So I knew that I was onto something, and if
Sorry,
I filled my limit,
I'm keeping it on the screen. It's just such a beautiful fish, man. I love
Yeah.
that the fins are all flared up at the top. I mean, that's a tank. Did it give you a good fight? Because those spots, I mean, that's a fight right there.
It was a lot lazier than the 12-inchers, to be honest. I mean,
Really,
it took a while to get it in, but once it was at the surface, it kind of just laid over and just went right into my net, and it didn't give me a lot of trouble on the board either, which spots are really bad about that. I was having trouble with that all day. Every fish wanted to jump off the board. It was heart was racing every time.
dang. Do you use any kind of net or anything when you're measuring a fish?
I just put my net off to the side usually, but
yeah.
I mean, it's even when they're flopping around, it's so nerve wracking.
Yeah. So you got that one on a Kayak jig. And was that how you filled out the rest of your limit? Do you want to talk a little bit about your Kayak jig? Like that's kind of a vague thing, bro. Like we like to get into the juice here, all right? You can even lie about the juice. You could say it's pink or whatever. But let's hear a little bit of the juice, man.
No lies.
Let's hear about
So
the juice.
every fish I caught in practice and the tournament was on a Kayak half-ounce football jig. It's actually this guy right here.
He's got it. He's got it in his pocket, bro. He carries that thing in his pocket.
So you're pretty close to that. I don't think there's a single tournament I'll fish unless it's the Delta. If I'm on any lake out here, I'm fishing this jig.
Double tail grub on the back?
Yamamoto double tail grub.
Let's go.
You don't really need anything else. I mean, seriously, this jig. Yeah, I mean, I fish it all the time. But I do think one of the keys, especially to the big fish that I caught, was I was using 10-pound test. I went through like 10 of those jigs. I was breaking them off all day on the rocks. But it is what it is. Yeah.
10-pound test. Whew.
Yeah, I was using 12 in practice. I only caught a few. I said, well, let's downsize.
Sheesh.
Those big fish, they're smart. They're really smart, and that's a clear water lake. And I think those big fish really pay attention to that line, because I do notice when I downsize my line, the bites get bigger. And yeah, you could lose fish. I did lose a couple bites breaking off.
But I know the hooks. I know the hooks on those Kayaks are, quite finessey. So do you use a spinning rod or you go straight bait caster on it still?
I have it's a jig rod. It's not like a broomstick jig rod. It's a Daiwa. It's the Tattoo Elite skipping jig rod. And it's just a little bit lighter. It says heavy, but it's really more of a medium heavy. And it's perfect for these little finesse jigs.
That's cool, man. All right. Ants likes to throw those little Kayak jigs.
Yeah. That exact combo that you have in your hand right there. That's money.
Yeah. I would love to throw that jig. You guys have the Vicente tournament coming up, and that's the only lake I've fished down there, and that would be great out there.
Yeah.
Really? You've been to San V?
Yeah. KBF went down there one year, and I went down there and took third. And
what?
That's a fun. The lake's pretty cool. I would like to go back there and fish it again.
So did you take third? I almost said turd. Did you take third when was it Ryan Moriarty that won it? Do you remember? Who won it? It was Ryan, right?
Yeah. I believe so.
Okay.
That tournament. Such a small lake. I was just mind blown, because it's really similar to the lakes that we have up here in Northern California, just shrunk down.
Yeah.
And line up boats at the gate in the morning. You have to, you get in line, huge line, and everyone is just fishing on top of each other. It's like a little conveyor belt going around the bank of the whole lake. There's a bass boat, there's a kayak 20 feet behind him, there's another person 20 feet, and you're just going to burning bank, and it just is what it is. No one's mad at each other, because that's just how that is. It was an interesting place, and there's a lot of rock structure to fish. It's a fun lake. I want to go back one day for sure.
Yeah, and that's why we're going with a 50 angular cap this year. And if it gets to 50, that'd be cool. But like honestly, like that 35 maybe 40 anglers is like kind of like perfect for the size that we have down here. That's why we went like higher entries, and like, you know, it's not like super pleasing or whatever to every single person, but we're hoping to get like that 35 to 50. And mainly because of that reason, you know, it's tough to fish when there's you look and it's like it's almost like a lottery at that point. You're just like,
It is.
all right, I'll just squeeze in right here. But also too, the guys that can dial in the forward facing or that offshore game, you know, because most people just beat the bank with a Cinco or whatever. But when you can dial in that offshore game, you know, you can kind of fish alone a lot more. So
yeah. That lake's a fun little lake.
Yeah, dude. I wish you can come down for our tournament, but I don't know if I want you to if you took third. So, but is that what you were throwing there? That little KATTACK jig?
No, I was throwing a drop shot down there. The 6-pound test again, really light line. You know, and especially out there, super pressured lake.
10-pound test. No,
yeah.
All right, we got a couple comments. Chris Harris said just described every SoCal lake. Diego said Sanvi was a fun one for sure. Again, you guys, if you guys have a question for David, please throw it in the chat. We love to be interactive with everyone. Again, welcome to the show tonight. I saw a few more people hopping in. We are giving away a Yak Attack rod holder at the end of this thing, but right now David's giving us a juice on Bullards Bar. So you also won the Wild West tournament too, right?
Yeah,
because it was
dual event,
and
I won big fish. Yeah.
And you won big fish. So can you give us just a kind of a round number of how much you took home that day?
It was a little over $4,000. Yeah, I don't know the exact, but it's just a little over $4,000. There's only 29 anglers there.
Wow.
So the payouts pretty sweet over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good.
Heck yeah, dude. It's so funny because like I see like all these bass boat derbies and they got 30 boats or whatever, like ABA, Wild West, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And they're holding up checks with like $1,700 for first. And I'm just like, that's cool, but like all the expenses that go into the bass boat stuff, and like we're over here just like having a good time with our no payment kayak, just like you know, some of us might have payments on our kayaks now with our crazy kayaks, but for the most part our kayaks are paid off, and we're bringing home like $4,000. David took home $4,000 that day. That's sick, man.
Yeah, those boat guys, I mean, you could win a tournament at that amount of money and still come out negative with your gas.
How about this?
Everything.
I'm gonna say this. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Whatever. Bass boat things are old news, bro. It's all about the kayaks now. That's the new stuff, bro. Come on, get on this. Bass boats is like Roland Martin days, bro. This is the new era. This is the different era now. But
be that way.
yeah. So okay, so you filled out your limit on that KATTACK jig, right? Let's go back into that. Let's go back into the tournament. So you fill out your limit. Let's talk about that moment when you found out you won.
So talk about filling that limit. So that first fish today was 9:30. My limit was filled at 2:30. It took all day to find that limit.
Wait, when was lines
losing
out?
bites? 3:30, and I was an hour away. So so it was a nail biter, and you know, losing bites, you know, breaking off jigs, yada yada yada. There's fish were really finicky, so I was on this really long point, and 4 out of my 5 fish were caught there. And it was getting to be like 2 hours since I caught my last fish. I needed that one more, and across the way there was just this little point that had bright red mud on it, and it was just all day I was looking at it like, I should head over there and check that out. All right, I'll do a little bit. So around 2:15, I headed over there, and first cast, toss my jig out, falls, I get a bite, miss it. All right, cast right back in there 2 more times, try to line myself exact same way, make the exact same cast, and it was getting a little windy, so it was kind of hard, and I got it at that point. That fish was the angriest fish all day. I put it on my board 5 times, and it kept jumping off. It was so stressful. Got the picture, submitted it. I'm at 70 inches. I'm like 5 inches ahead of second place. Like, all right, the only thing I got to worry about is John Myers and Damian sandbagging me. And me
Always.
getting back to the ramp and seeing,
Always.
seeing Damien, of course. Hey, how you doing? Oh, pretty okay. And you win the tournament. You know what I mean? I just waiting, like, yeah. My wife's waiting at the ramp. She's like, oh, you did so good. You won. I'm like, hold on. Damien's still out there. All that stuff, you know. Everyone just keeps coming in. John, I see John at the ramp. How'd you do? I zeroed. Oh, all right.
I know. I was shocked.
Damien comes in. Same thing. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I won. I couldn't believe. I was very surprised that no one sandbagged and at least got, you know, a few inches ahead of me. You know, I was waiting for it all day.
Hey, bro, that spot, fifth fish, little dink, trying to get him on the board. If he hops off the 5th time, there ain't nothing wrong with giving him a little love tap, bro.
I was thinking about it.
Give him a little love tap, bro.
Man, it was angry. It didn't want to open its mouth. It was so mad.
Yeah.
It knew. It knew how important it was.
That's so funny, dude. Me and Ants joked all the time about Damien and the sandbag king, and man, that was a fun episode we did with Damien that night. But what do you got? You got something, Ants?
Did you only catch 5 that day?
Only 5. Yeah. I caught a couple small fish, like 11 inches and smaller, but only 5 keepers.
Your bro asked, what were the weather conditions? Jason's trying to get all technical now. Technical.
It was mid 60s. It was a little windy in the morning, calmed down throughout the afternoon, and then on the way back it got pretty nasty. But for the most part, practice and tournament day was pretty calm. It was like, actually, practice day was slick calm, no wind. It was dead calm. So it was pretty nice weather. It warmed up for us, unlike this weekend at Pardee, which is going to be like low of 32 degrees or 34 degrees or something. So it was really nice. It was nice. Whether you're catching fish or not, at least it was a nice day at the lake.
That's awesome, man. Well,
are you
David,
fishing the Pardee?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be at Pardee. It's gonna be cold. They shut down the ramp until I think it opens tomorrow. I'm guessing because of ice or something. Yeah. So it's gonna be cold out there, but that lake is full of smallies. So hopefully, they don't mind the cold as much.
Yeah,
Ants, are you gonna go up?
Oh, nice. Yeah. Let me know if you're gonna be there, man. Should be fun.
I fished that place last year. It was cool.
It's cool. Yeah. Last year was my first time fishing it, even though it's maybe an hour away from my house. And I would definitely want to go back there more. That's a good lake to pick apart for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, David, man, we appreciate you coming on and dropping the juice about new Bullards Bar. Congratulations on a big win, man, and your first win. And I'm sure it's not going to be your last.
Yeah. Hopefully, got some momentum going into Pardee.
Cheers to the grind. Cheers to the grind. And right now, me and Ants will drop down and then go ahead and just shout out anyone that supports you, sponsors you, and then we'll go ahead and get Joseph in here next. All right.
Yeah. So basically, all of my sponsors contributed to this. I get all my gear from Headwaters Adventure in Reading, my kayak, accessories, yada yada. I caught them on a YAKATTACK jig. YAKATTACK has been with them for a couple of years. I was using 10-pound test P-Line Tactical. My Newport got me there powered by my Bioenno batteries. So literally all my sponsors contributed to this win, which felt pretty cool. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, man. Again, congratulations on a big win. And I'm sure this might not be the last time we see you on the show, dude.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. Have a good night, man.
Later. See you guys later.
All right. Super cool dude, man. Ants, you really gonna go up to Pardee?
I don't know. I was debating on it.
It's on a Sunday, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't even I would just drive up for the tournament.
Like Sunday morning or Saturday night? Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, head up there. There's a spot on that lake that I know I could catch like 87 to 90 inches of smallies. I would need to go.
You would need to go, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, if you guys are joining us right now, or you guys have been chilling with us for a little bit, we are going to give away a Yak Attack Omega rod holder at the end of this thing. 2 of them, actually. 2 winners tonight. You got to be in the chat listening. We're going to go ahead and bring in our next guest, which is Mr. Joseph Tax. Let's go ahead and bring Joseph in here. What's going on, Joseph?
Not too much, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, dude. Congratulations on your big win at a really good showing for the Yak A Bass tournament up at Oroville. Congratulations, man. 120 kayaks, first place. Nice payday. Go ahead and intro yourself, man. Let's hear a little bit about who you are, and we'll get into the juice of Oroville.
Sounds good, boss. Joseph Tax. I'm still pretty new to this, honestly. I picked up a kayak last year, and my first tournament / first day ever fishing from a kayak was Yak A Bass Folsom last year, and I kind of just got hooked on it. New canoe, brother. Yeah, we both rocked the new canoe.
Awesome.
But yeah, and I wasn't really expecting much. It's a tough crowd, and obviously Damien, become friends with him, and also John. And those guys just crush all the time. So you never go into these things expecting to win. You go in there just to have fun, and really that's all it was for me on Saturday. I went out. I sucked on pre-fish. I wasn't really feeling super stoked about it. It was the grind in the morning, and I just focused on fishing. And then once I found some fish, I stuck on them, and I ended up having a great day.
Awesome, man. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring up the Tourney X right here. So Joseph took first with 76.25. So, man, for 120 kayaks, I was looking down from the list. Like I was looking at like everyone else, and it was a close, tight race to the top. And Joseph came out on top, and then we had Danny Miller, 74.75, Mike Ensign, 74.25, Greg Blanchard, 74, and Brandon Miller with 74. So it was definitely a close, tight race, man. And this was your big fish. Why don't you go ahead and talk to us a little bit about this fish, man? This is a decent sized little spot right here, 17 inches.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of had a similar experience to David with that fish. I didn't even know I was hooked. I kind of thought I was reeling up a stick for a long time until I saw the green flash. He didn't fight. I was fishing so deep, which was, something new to me. Before this tournament, I don't think I'd even caught a fish deeper than 40 feet. And I pulled that fish up from probably somewhere between 70 and 60 feet. Just painfully slow drop shot. I mean, I don't even know when he ate it, where he ate it, nothing. I just cast it out and waited an eternity for my drop shot to stop sinking. And as soon as I picked up the rod, he was on, or something was on. And
wait. Hold on. We got to stop right there. 70 or 60 feet, and you just fire out there. You got to have some. Let's hear about that, man. Let's hear about that really quick. Because did you see him on your graph? Did you see him on your down? Or are you just like kind of feeling?
I saw bait. I spent all practice fishing shallow, and some guys, I saw Mike on here. He was slaying them in brush piles shallow, and I marked fish shallow. I couldn't find a bite. I mean, I was so discouraged. I caught one fish on the way back at the very end of the day, throwing a jaw dropper from first gen?
Yeah,
first gen. And that was the only bite that I got on practice. I had no pattern. I had no understanding where the fish were. I knew there were fish there, so I threw everything: A-rigs, jerk baits, crankbaits. I mean, I was trying Kitex on underspins, and then I finally just started slowing down, like crazy slow. I picked up my drop shot. One of my favorite rigs is a drop shot with a swim bait because you can fish it like a jig. I don't twitch it like your normal drop shot. I don't do anything. It just slow drag it along the bottom. And as soon as I did that, I started getting bites. And I noticed that.
What's the swim bait? You can't just say swim bait and then just.
It's always
on.
a Kayak.
We're gonna catch you. We're gonna catch you, bro. You can't just go past your. No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
it's always a 2.8 or 3.3 or the easy shiners. It's one of those.
Okay.
And I always start out with just nose hooked. That's it. And, it's a great technique because it stays in the strike zone for so long. When I fish a ball head, I don't have a lot of confidence in that because you got to keep it moving or you get snagged on the bottom or they got to be willing to eat it off the bottom. When you throw it on that drop shot, it just sits in that strike zone for so long. So if they're in a negative mood, I mean, it's the only technique I've ever had like record days for me. And Oroville was one of them. I mean, I think I caught 70 fish doing that.
At the tournament?
They were all tiny. I mean,
you caught 70 fish.
I went through 6.5 packs of Kytex.
Wait, 7 or 70?
7-0. I don't even think I went 5 minutes without catching a fish, to be honest with you. I mean,
okay, I would have stayed out deep. I would have been 70 feet too, for sure.
The most painful thing about it is like I only brought probably 5 quarter-ounce drop shot weights with me. And dude, if you're fishing like 50 feet and you throw a 3/16 ounce on, you're like,
dude, did you? Okay, in the chat, come on. 70 fish on a drop shot in 70 feet. I think that might be a hashtag tonight, Ant. 70 and 70. Yeah, that might be a hashtag. That's hashtag right there. That's hashtag worthy. Okay, so 70 feet, 70 fish.
I just kept casting deep and dragging. I sent you a picture of my graph. I was sitting in probably 40 feet casting into a creek channel that had bait. And honestly, I didn't move all day, probably 200 yards maybe all day. And I just kept making the same kind of fan cast out through the creek channel and fish just kept recirculating.
Okay, Diego, I feel you on this. I feel you, okay? But when you're catching a fish every 5 minutes, I have all the patience in the world for sure. 100%.
And that's kind of the thing that, like, not being used to power fishing, not really being used to bass fishing in general, fly fishing is a little bit more tedious. And that's really where I got my start. And having that patience has been, everything for me. Just being willing to slow down when that bite is so negative. I mean, even when I fished, last year I was fortunate enough to qualify for the West Coast Championship. And I got squeaker checks, as I call them, always like that last position that pays out.
Yeah.
But the same deal, dude, just fishing so painfully slow.
Okay, hold on one second. Because we have
strike zone.
We have someone in the chat right now, okay? If you don't know who this is Gene Jensen. He's in the chat, okay? I've been trying to get Gene to come out to the West Coast, okay? So we need to kind of pause what you're talking about, and we need to tell him you're catching fish on a frog, you're catching fish on a chatterbait, so that way he can come out. He doesn't need to be hearing that you caught 70 fish in 70 feet on 6-pound tests with a Kytek, okay? So Gene, you didn't hear that part. He was catching them on a Huddleston, and they were all 10-pounders.
Okay? Hey, send them up to me, all right? I'll go take him out on Maloney's. We'll get on a Hud bite, or that fish that, is in the post, that's from Tulloch, and that was on a jackhammer. And that was actually my best day ever. I caught 4 fish over 6 pounds on a jackhammer.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you were culling the fish, because catching 70 fish is fun, but in a tournament that could be kind of annoying, especially when you're like micro upgrading.
Oh, it was brutal. I had to go through.
What's your technique on culling that? Like, do you just submit them all to Tourney X?
No, I wish I would have, because I actually made a mistake, and I got very lucky in this tournament that I had a small lead anyway, because I technically had 77.25. But one of the pictures I submitted was one where the spot was being a little ornery and had his mouth just barely cracked. And I wasn't paying close enough attention going through all my photos, trying to mob back to the ramp, and got docked an inch that I would have had and could have been critical.
Imagine Ance's Tourney X says 5 fish plus 65.
But
that would have been cool to see.
That would have been cool to see.
To give you perspective, I think the average fish that I caught was like 13. And my first 5 fish were over 13 inches. So I just would slap them on the board for a second and be like, nope, toss them off. And then just struggle through getting more bites. Because I would change up, I would try and throw an A-rig for a while, threw a jerk bait for a long time. But just dragging that swim bait, man, it didn't matter. it takes forever. You know, it takes you 5 minutes in a cast, but literally every single cast that I took, I caught fish. Like my wife called me while I was out there, and we were just chatting for maybe 17 minutes, and I'd had 4 fish on. She was like getting annoyed because I had to take pictures all the time, and I wasn't paying attention.
It was just funny because like when you first came on, you're like, yeah, I was drop shotting. It took forever to get down like 70 feet, and I was just like thinking to myself, like, what made you do that? And then like now that I know what I know, I would have been doing the same thing.
Yeah, and you know, it was blind luck too. I just got fed up fishing shallow. I couldn't get a bite. I could see the fish. You know, they'd follow it all the way to the boat on cranks and jerk baits, but they wouldn't touch it. And I just took the drop shot and I threw it behind me and just let it sink. And the first time I dragged it, I caught that 17-inch fish.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you can say that it's blind luck, and I respect that. But at the same time, think about it like this, okay? You heard that the fish were shallow. You were fishing shallow, and a lot of guys would continue to fish shallow and try to force that bite. But you made a good decision. You stepped out deeper, and the reward came from that. So you can say it's luck. I respect that. But you also made that decision during the tournament instead of getting caught up in what other people were doing, and this is your reward. You ended up taking first place. You know what I mean? Like, you could have very easily just continued to fish the bank and maybe zeroed, but you made that decision, man. So luck, yeah, but you still had to process, you know, what you wanted to do, and you did it, and it rewarded you. So you gotta have that kind of thought, I guess, too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's also for that technique. You know, I grew up, shouldn't say I grew up, but my home lake for a long time was Folsom, which we have coming up. And that is a tough lake. If you know that lake, it can either be super rewarding or you can just feel like you're pounding your face into a brick wall.
Yeah.
Like the number of blanks I've had on that day is almost embarrassing. But
me and Ants were out there, what, 3 years ago now, Ants?
Mm-hmm.
For the KBF trail.
Yeah.
And I had a great practice. I was catching fish on a red crankbait, to be honest, like decent spots. Like I was like pretty stoked on it. Tournament day, absolutely nothing on a crankbait. Like you said, I wanted to just like, you know, like throw everything in the water. And then I ended up catching the biggest fish of the tournament on a drop shot 6-inch worm. Talk about luck, completely luck. But it was a fun lake. It's got a lot of rock piles. Anthony did extremely well out there. I think he took top 5.
Yeah, I think I got like second or third with no practice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, that's impressive. I got to tip my hat to you on that.
Well, he throws a YAKATTACK.
Yeah.
Like everyone throws a drop shot. So
it's, you know, it's a tough lake, man. And again, Part E too, you know, I've only ever fished it once, but that lake can be super stingy. And funny enough, I caught one smallmouth the last time I did the tournament out there, and it was a dink. I didn't catch another single one. Everything else was largemouth.
So Mr. Brad Bloxel with the visor on, he asked if you did any fizzing with fish that deep.
I didn't do any fizzing. I just tried to get them back down as fast as I could, and most of them just swam straight down. Yeah. Usually if you give them a shove, they'll sink, but I didn't have them on the board for very long.
Yeah.
Most of the fish, I mean, that 17-inch fish didn't even fight. Like, honest to God, it was so cold when I picked it up. My fingers were cold. He was cold. We were just looking at each other like, dude, get this over with.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of catching up in the chat, but Gene said, I caught 3 fish over 20 inches yesterday. I only fished an hour. Yeah, but Gene, we're not talking about your private pond at your house, okay? We're talking about like real lakes out here. Come on, man. Come on. You got to come out here one time. We got the Delta KBF, and I want to see Fluke Master fish the Delta. I think that'd be really fun. Fly out here, hitchhike out here, whatever you got to do, man. Let's go. Right, Ants?
Yep.
You would love the Delta. The Delta is a magical place for sure.
Yeah, he knows about the Delta. I don't need to explain the Delta to Gene. Let's see what else we got here. I saw Mr. Myers come in. He came in the chat. It's common to catch a fish as deep as 100 feet in our motherlode lakes that have spotted bass.
I give him all the credit.
John's like the professor of our sport. He's like the kayak professor. I'm gonna maybe give him that new nickname.
Right? We were literally
Professor
drinking.
Myers.
we were drinking the night before at the buffet at the casino, and I was like, I've never caught fish deep. He's like, oh, I've caught spots to like 120 feet on the bottom. I'm like, what?
That's
I mean,
great.
half of the reason why I decided to fish deep, I was like, well, I can't catch anything shallow. Might as well try deep. And it was because this kid told me he catches fish to 120 feet deep. I was like, all right, well, sure.
And then Mike Lavoie's in the chat. Way to get it done, Joseph. Your approach to these fisheries is unique and obviously effective. From Mr. Mike.
Appreciate it.
All right. So you caught all your fish on drop shot, culled a ton of fish. Let's talk about that, that ending kind of moment in the tournament. So you kind of, when did you realize that you won? I saw that Yak A Bass didn't, I don't know if they had the award ceremony. So did you get a text? Did James call you? How did that
No,
look?
nothing. I struggled to submit my fish. Honestly, I had terrible signal. So I was just going back to the ramp motoring. I was talking to my wife on the phone and just submitting fish. And I just kept climbing and kept climbing and kept climbing. And then I was at the top and I was like, somebody's sandbagging it. Like, there's no way that I'm at the top on this. I was like waiting for Damien to put fish in, or John to put fish in, or Mike to put fish in. And I was like, there's no way. I mean, maybe even Greg for sure, because that's only like the third time I've ever fished Oroville. It's not a lake that I fish often. It's not something that I'm familiar with. And I was like dumbfounded. Then I got to the ramp and everybody was like, oh, you won it. And I was like,
That's awesome, dude. That's an awesome feeling. So let's talk a little bit too. I kind of cut you off and I apologize for this, but you used to be, or you still are, like an avid fly fisherman.
Yeah.
And that's when you started.
That's how I started fishing. I grew up fly fishing, fly tying, been fly tying since I was 4 years old. Really, really big into it. Used to go to like the ISE show all the time. I was a little hustler. Really, really good at fly casting and loved the late night dollar to cast a bass popper into a beer cup. And you just get one cast and you keep going around. And I used to wait for the pot to get to like $30, and then I go in. It's like a 12-year-old and land it in first cast and walk away with everybody's lunch money. So I think that's honestly where I got this interest in kayak bass fishing for a tournament, because it's just fun. It's fun to go out and make money when you fish. It's fun to be competitive. It's a very different mindset.
So what's your PB brown trout on a fly rod?
A little over 30 inches and probably about 10 pounds.
Holy shit.
I think I've got a picture of it here. Give me a second.
From California?
No, from Montana. My biggest in California is probably about 28 inches. My biggest rainbow is ridiculous. My biggest rainbow was like 13.8, probably 32 inches from Amador on a size 14 Copper John. That's my biggest from the Truckee. I don't know if you can see it all that well. Probably not.
A little bit.
But that's on a fly I tied.
So what about your PB bass on a fly?
My PB bass on a fly is probably only like 4 or 5 pounds, to be honest. Not that big. And then that's that brown trout.
Wow. Dang, that's sick. So what so you got the new canoe, so I'm sure motor guide?
Yep, XI3.
Okay. What kind of graphs you running? I should have asked David this earlier. I kind of forgot. But what kind of graphs you got going on?
I run the Garmin. I really love the Navionics apps on the side, and I spend way more time on it than I'd like to admit, just researching the lake.
Live scope?
No live scope.
What? Just kidding.
It's out of my budget, man.
You won a tournament without live scope? No way.
Yeah, and I caught a ridiculous number of fish. It happens.
Wow, that is incredible. That's so old school, bro. Just kidding.
What's funny is I'd never used live scope. I never really even been around it until I started fishing with my buddy up here on Tolek all the time. And he's got live scope on the front of the boat. And obviously I've got no graphs on the back of the boat. And I used to just love blind casting or following weed lines and structure just by feeling it with the rod, like I'm so used to from a float tube, and just whacking fish behind him as he's sitting there dorking around on live scope, trying like his damnedest to catch one fish that he's been scoping for 20 or 30 minutes, and I've caught 5 or 6 fish behind him. And that's one of the things that I see a lot with live scope is people get so fixated on trying to catch one fish on the screen, and you kill 40 minutes, 50 minutes. It's the same thing as bed fishing. It's why I don't, some people will sit there on a bed for like an hour, and I'm like, why? There's probably 100 other fish on beds you could blind cast and find one that's more in the mood for.
Yep. So going into the next tournament, you fishing obviously you're going to be fishing Folsom, and are you only sticking to Yak A Bass? Do you fish any other series or any other circuits?
I did California Slay Nation. I got to tip my hat to Max. I got my butt handed to me. It was cold. The fish were super finicky. I got bites and I got plenty of them, but dude, I couldn't feel my hands to save my life.
Yeah, that was definitely a snowy out there. What about any other series? Are you going to be fishing any other series?
I'm super tempted to come to Pardee after you guys are talking about it. I got second there for the Kayak Allergy Bass Kayak tournament thing that I forget what his name is that put that on. And that was a lot of fun. My first time ever there. I'm not technically in Cal Bass, but it's 2 days for me to figure out and make up my mind if I'm going to show up or not. It's going to be another cold one though.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would say like the main reason, because if you sign up for California Bass Nation, you fish Pardee, you go fish it, and then at the end of the year, you might even make the championship, and then you might even qualify for the big championship. And I'm telling you, Bassmaster as a whole for the kayak series is just going to keep growing and growing. And that opportunity, the fact that we had that opportunity here in California and then Arizona too, kind of close, it's a cool opportunity, man. It really is. So I would encourage you, if you're feeling it, if you're able to, go for it, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still new to this. I'm still learning a lot.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have, a whole bunch of game in my back pocket to go throw around.
Danny Miller, we got smashed by a fly fisher. Oh man, that's a cool comment. Yeah. Hey, he caught him good. Jason had a good question for you. Joseph, honestly, would you rather be bass fishing or fly fishing these days? And do you think bass fishing is easier or harder than fly fishing?
They both have their ups and downs. I love bass fishing. I think you can have a lot more successful of a day in bass fishing than you really can in fly fishing, at least in California. If you go out and you go throw yourself at a river or a high mountain lake or something, it's difficult to fly fish. It's not something an average person could go do and have fun. You really have to be at the elite of the elite to do well and to consistently have fun. Bass fishing, I feel like I can go out on any given day and I can just have fun. I don't have to pound my head against pulling rocks and pumping stomachs to figure out what little, tiny midge a trout is trying to eat for that day. I can trick a bass into eating the stupid pink worm, and it's kind of fun. And then I learned about reaction bites and throwing big stuff and swim baits, and I love that. I love that aggression. It's the same thing as streamer fishing for big brown trout, and I just absolutely adore it.
Welcome to the addiction.
Yeah.
Welcome to the addiction. All right. Well, right now I'm going to go ahead and give you a moment, kind of thank whoever supports you at home or any sponsors you have. And then we'll go ahead and get into our Yak Attack Omega rod holder giveaway. So Joseph, go ahead and take the floor, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my wife for letting me do all this and spending so much time away from home. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without her. And then also, I've got some sponsors. I've got P-Line, I've got Kitech, and a couple others that are super important to what we do. Z-Pro keeps me powered up and on the water. I'm not sponsored by Motor Guide, but maybe someday if I keep up this winning streak, wouldn't have been able to do what I do without them, and New Canoe keeping me safe and dry. And definitely a special thanks to James for always putting on a great show. He's a really good tournament director. And if you haven't fished the Yak A Bass series before, I highly recommend it. He's super communicative. As a newbie, it was really easy and painless to get into the tournaments. and it's been nothing but fun. The dudes are fun. It's a great time, and yeah, thanks for having me, and I look forward to hopefully doing some other good things here.
Awesome, man. Well, again, congratulations. You know, to beat 120 guys in a Yak A Bass event is quite an accomplishment. So hats off to you, sir, and on to the next event. Best of luck at where's the next one at again? I'm drawing like Folsom. Best of luck at Folsom. So right now we're gonna go ahead and give away 2 Omega rod holders by Yak Attack. The winners will have whatever color they would like to choose between the 3. So Ants, let's see the first hashtag. What do you think the first hashtag should be? Should we do
70-70?
70-70, so 7070.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do hashtag 7070. Hashtag 7070. 7070 for the hashtag. And the reason why we're doing this hashtag tonight is because Mr. Joseph caught 70 fish in 70 feet on a drop shot. So hashtag 7070. If you not only want to win a Yak A Bass tournament, but if you also want a chance to win an Omega rod holder. That was pretty good, huh, Ants? Tied that in pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're ready for your 30-second ad on TV.
Yeah. No. All right. We got 24 entries so far. Okay, let me see. I don't know why the last couple of times.
How many people are watching?
I see 35.
I don't think we could see how many people are watching.
I'll give it a little bit longer. Come on. Hashtag 7070 for your chance to win a Yak A Bass or Yak A Bass Yak Attack Omega rod holder. Come on. I see 24 entries. Let's get a little bit more. There we go. 25. I'll give it a little bit longer, and I'm going to roll the dice twice. So there's going to be 2 winners tonight. Each winner will win 1 rod holder. Except if Brad wins. If Brad wins, he does not get the rod holder.
That's jacked up.
I'm just kidding. Got to give Brad a hard time when he's in the chat. All right. This exposes everyone that was watching but didn't get in the chat. You know what I mean? I'm seeing everyone that's in here now. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice for the first one. Let me go to present, share screen.
Does it matter how many times you enter?
No. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It'll just do 1. Let's do it like this. Share. Come on. Hold on 1 second. I had some trouble last time too. Let's see. Share screen. Share. Window. Share. Let's go to here. Can you see that? Ants?
I mean, I see the 70-70 on the screen, yeah.
Okay, you see that?
Entries? 27 entries.
Yeah, you see that? Okay, you guys can all see that? Joseph, can you see it?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and roll it right now. All right, here we go. And the first winner is Daigo. Let's go, Daigo. All right, Daigo is our first winner tonight. So Daigo, I have your number, whatever. We'll get in touch. And you won yourself a Yak Attack Omega rod holder. Congratulations, man. So let's see if we can do another hashtag, or should I just roll it back? I think I'll just roll it back. What do you say, Ants? I'm going to just roll it back. All right. If you want one more second, Daigo's our first winner. I'm going to jog in for our second winner. Hashtag 7070. Here we go. Ready? The second winner. And the winner is AJ Ramirez.
It's like you planned it.
AJ Ramirez. Awesome. let's he's going to be heading out to the Bass Nation Championship here pretty soon, and the Yak Attack rod holder will be on your kayak, hopefully. So congratulations to Daigo and AJ for winning. Let's see, stop sharing. I lost Anthony. Congratulations to Daigo and AJ for winning the Yak Attack giveaway tonight. I appreciate everyone that was watching the chat. Appreciate all the support for the podcast, all the messages. Looking forward to a awesome season this year. Got a lot to cover, and congratulations again, Joseph and David, on 2 big wins. And that's pretty much all I got for tonight, you guys. As always, keep your thumbs ripped, and I'll see you guys on the next one.